next guest is Mike Reed. He's a systems engineer and representative for Tel-Instruments. Mike, thank you very much for joining us here on Aero-TV.
My pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about your company, first of all, because
Sure.
you're kind of new on this
Sure.
in this landscape.
Well, actually we're not, Tom. TIC has been around since 1947, and we've been making flight line testers for probably 30 or 40 years for general aviation and commercial aviation flight line testing. So a lot of our viewers will have TIC flight line testers for VOR, ILS, transponder, TCAS. So we've actually been around quite a while. We've spent about the last 10 years focusing on the military market.
Okay.
So we kind of dominate the military IFF, identify friend or foe, mode 5 IFF. So this product is kind of our foray back into commercial general aviation.
And the product that you have is called the SDR Omni test set.
Yes.
And it's an all-in-one kind of everything in one box.
Yeah,
so
it's
just
all in
describe
one,
it to us.
Yeah, and it's you know, traditionally for avionics flight line testing, you've had a one box for transponder, DME, TCAS, kind of the high frequency 1 gigahertz band.
Okay.
And you've had another tester for the lower frequency VOR, ILS, marker beacon, VHF comm. And so most shops have two different types of testers. What we've done now with cell phone technology is we've been able to combine all those functions into a single software-defined radio, because radio technology has now gotten to the point where we can have a very broad band of capability in one box. So the way this box will work is that you can download test apps, very similar to an iPad or something like that, where you buy the basic hardware and then you download the particular test apps that you need, whether it's ADS-B, 1090 megahertz, or VOR, comm testing. So it's an all-in-one. So we call it the SDR Omni for software-defined radio, and then Omni means all.
Oh, means all.
Everything. Yeah.
So when you talk about the apps, and I'm sure some of them are still in development,
Sure.
but what kinds of, if I'm a maintainer and I want to look at some of these apps, and let's say I work basically in the general aviation sector,
Sure.
what kinds of apps am I going to want to have to go on the device, and are they at additional cost?
Yes. So today, what's driving the market obviously is ADS-B, and here in the U.S. you've got two forms of ADS-B. You've got the 1090 megahertz kind of Mode S based, and then you've got the 978 megahertz UAT, Universal Access Transmitter, and so those are what's driving shops right now, because they're doing these installs. They've got to certify installations right and left. That's what's driving the market today. And so they can download those apps, and then later if they want navigation testing, VOR, ILS, marker beacon, comms, ELT transmitters is a big application. They can download those later on. Of course, there's additional costs for each app, but the total package, if you add all the apps and get the full capability, it's going to be significantly less expensive than today's situation where you're buying different testers.
As you said, the ADS-B and in part that kind of navigation is what's driving a lot of this today.
That's driving
but you also still have a lot of the legacy navigation systems. You mentioned VOR, you mentioned the ILS.
Right.
What portion of the market is that still, with more and more airplanes winding up with glass cockpits?
Well, it's still a necessary. Shops need to have that capability.
Right.
Now you see a lot of shops that have 30-year-old, 20-year-old navigation ILS VOR testers that still work, and they continue to use those, but at some point they die.
Yeah.
You know, and at that point then they will be able to add that function to this unit at a far less cost than just going out and buying another tester. So
is the basic concept, how does it work? Does it convince the instrument that it's in the air flying?
Yeah, so basically what it does is for most avionics testing, it's simulating a ground station. For instance, if you're testing VOR and ILS, this is actually transmitting very, very low power, but VOR and ILS signals so that you can obviously confirm that the cockpit instruments and the radios are working properly. In the case of ADS-B, typically the aircraft transponder is transmitting data. And so this will receive that data, it'll decode it, and it'll give you it'll decode all the fields that you need to certify that ADS-B installation for the FAA advisory circular. So there's things like SIL and SDA and all these NAC-V and NAC-V parameters that are important to tell the integrity of the GPS position signal. And this will tell you those things. So it's everything that a shop would need to certify an ADS-B installation. And then you'll be able to record the file, we'll spit it out as a PDF to a USB port, and then you can download it, print it, because that's important too, to have the certification record. And so
with that certification record, then that's what you have to have available for the FAA when they come do the ramp inspection?
Yeah, if and when it comes to that, yes. And the same with transponder certifications. There's a Part 43 transponder certification that has to happen every 24 months. That's another big use for this type of equipment.
Your website says that it also interfaces with a lot of your other products. So how does it work with your other things in your line?
It doesn't exactly interface, but it's kind of a complement. One of the neat things about it, though, is that it also acts as a Wi-Fi hotspot. So that what you'll be able to do is link your phone or your tablet to this. This can then sit out on the hangar floor or on the ramp out to where it's got unobstructed view of the aircraft antennas. And then you'll be able to sit in the cockpit, have a Wi-Fi link to this, and then your tablet will have exactly what's on this screen, and then you'll be able to control it as well as see the results while you're sitting in the cockpit, because that's important too. You want to verify that the cockpit instrumentation is
right. And you can also look at the aircraft instruments at the same time and make sure all the testing is going on. Couple of more things, and I know you've got a flight to catch, and I want to make sure you get over to McCarran in enough time to get on your airplane.
Appreciate
but
it.
Tell us what it costs, and is it available now?
Yeah. Basically, the cost is going to be the cost of the hardware. We're looking at about a $10,000 price tag for that, and then you add apps. They're going to be anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000. Probably the GPS may be the most expensive. So to get a full up capability, which gives you all the NavCom, all the transponder, ADS-B, GPS, you're looking at right around $30,000. If you just need transponder and ADS-B, you're probably in the $15,000 to $16,000 range. If you're looking for all of that plus NavCom, ELT, you're looking in the low 20s, 21, 22,000. So if you compare that with what our competition is, it's significantly less expensive, probably 20 to 40% depending upon the package.
And they can come buy it right now?
No, I wish they could, because we could have sold easily 24 of these today. The response has been tremendous. So we're looking at our first release of apps later on this year, fourth quarter. And then the second release, which will give you 90% of the capability about a year from now, next March. So still very preliminary, but been doing a lot of development on this. So we've been working on it for over 2 years. So,
having just finished a conversation with Rick Perry, do you have the same kind of certification process on a test instrument like this that they do for airplane?
Actually, we don't. We don't. So the certification process is not nearly as onerous. You've got some FCC since we do transmit.
Right?
Yeah, but from an FAA certification standpoint of flight hardware, no, we don't have that.
So how does the FAA then certify, for lack of a better word, that your instrument, your box, has tested the instruments and make sure they all work properly? Is there
there's really not a procedure for that, believe it or not.
Maybe I better shut up and not give them any ideas.
Exactly. Yeah, but so then it comes up to the the aircraft or the avionics OEM to make sure that they're using the proper equipment.
Right.
And we work with the avionics OEMs.
Well, I won't put you on the spot anymore, Mike. I'll let you get off and catch your flight, but thank you very much for talking with us.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And very good. Well, thank you so much.
Good luck with your device.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 61st Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Las Vegas, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors.
It's called Airtext Plus. The mobile office is now a true, cost-effective win-win reality because being available and part of the communication chain keeps you in control. Visit us at www.airtext.aero for more information and get started staying in touch today.
True Blue Power Advanced Lithium-Ion Mainship batteries feature proprietary nanophosphate technology. They deliver 3 times the energy density and are more than 40% lighter than lead-acid or NiCad alternatives. RTCA tested, FAA certified, available to OEMs today.